Of my enemies, you anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Paul was born on June 13th, 1960, to John and Josie. He was married in 1992 to Tina, his love. Paul was preceded in death by his dad and his brother Jimbo. He's survived today by Tina, Lewis, Joseph, Casey, and Alexis. His brothers, his grandchildren, his family, and you, his friends, and so many who couldn't even be here today. And Paul Smith's life was short. When someone so young in years is taken from us, we feel cheated, robbed, for not enough time was given to experience, to grow, to share, to do the things that we wanted to do. If only we had a few more minutes, we feel as death has stolen him away. And as tempted as we are, and as finite as we are, to search for answers, for ask the reasons why, or to fix blame, or to be angry or bitter, we must not permit death. We must not allow it to tear this young man's young age of 48 years old, to rip his legacy or his memory from you and from this earth. You see, for Paul was more than flesh and blood, more than this blob of protoplasm that simply happened on this planet. Paul knew he was uniquely created by God in his image and made a deep impression for our world. Paul made a huge impression on each one of you. I had to laugh a little last night. I said to my wife, even in death, Paul made all these tough guys cry. And God blessed him with a family who loved him, a special personality, an intense spirit, and those eyes that you knew when he was happy, and you knew when you were in trouble. Paul loved you. And he loved immensely. And he was loved by both God and his family. And you, his children, you need to know how much he loved you. He spoke of you on Sundays when he would come to church, and that's why he was there. He wanted you to know that it was never too late to turn your lives around, to make what was right. He spoke of many of you as friends when he would ride on his bike. His favorite story to tell me was the day that he was going to sell his motorcycle. And he was showing some young kid, some young punk, he told me. He laid his bike down in his driveway. That bike gave him a black eye. Paul was more than that. He was the love of life. And he loved his grandchildren. And the memories that we have will remain, and death can never, ever take those away from you. And his legacy can live on through you. At this time, Tina has asked me to allow some of you to take a brief moment to maybe share a story from where you are, if you want to come up, and share a small moment of how Paul touched your life. It would mean a lot for Tina and the family. If no one does, we'll move on with our service after a few minutes of silence and reflecting on him. But feel free, just you stand where you are, come forward at this time. Tough guys. He was the toughest. When I was younger, me and his brother Joe we were best friends, junior high, and I tell you, when we were hanging out and Paul came home, I was got a little nervous. Like you said, when he was happy, you knew, but when you could see it in his eyes, something was wrong. I was a little afraid of Paul. You know, as I got to know him, and as he gets to know you, he was a really good guy, and he had a good heart, and he would do anything for you. Just said this, you know, I won't see you smile again, but I know I will someday in heaven. I know that's where he is. And I'm glad to hear that Tina
count the mud hole after this.
I gotta tell you guys a quick story about Baldy. You're gonna laugh. Michael Pace here? No? My brother John, I believe he was there. 3:30 in the morning, we're in Andy Cook's garage. And we're out there. Andy's got an old boat in the yard on a trailer. No motor. Paulie says, I got a motor at the house. Let's go get it. We got no trailer hitch. Michael Pace is in the trunk of the car. He's a human trailer hitch holding the boat. Down Point Road. We're wide open. There's 5 of us in the boat. My brother John, me, Michael Pace, Paulie. Who else was it? John whoever. I said, guys, we got a problem. I got water up to my knees almost. And it's getting higher and higher. Andy Cook's like, my boat, my boat. Paulie's like, F you guys, F the boat, save my motor, stop it. Needless to say, we got back to shore for the morning.
Come on, guys, I know some of you had something else to say.
Come on, don't be shy.
That's right.
Hello, I'm Bob Cowie, friends of Josie. I remember one time, it was Thanksgiving, we went over to Paul and Tina's to have dessert. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was being psychologically evaluated. No, I do. I'm about as stiff as a 2x4. But I felt very much at home with them. And one thing was, Paul said, hey Ma, keep this guy. He's a real keeper. So I have loved his family and his friends. And someday we'll meet again. Thank you all for coming.
I got something to say. That's a good man right there. The man definitely helped me turn my life around. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, kids. He's irreplaceable. I'm sure a lot of people don't know that.
I want to say something. Me and Bo were close. You get from Bo, huh? You taught me a lot too. You taught me how to be strong. And you taught me how to swim. I'm sure you know, work hard. And you give your shirt off, okay? You always said that, that you were not going to tell me. But you love everything the same. And, you for wife. And you love each other so much.
The girlies. That was Paul. Yeah.
I couldn't come to the wake last night because I was totally busted up, you know. I've known Paul for since 1971. You know, when we moved into the neighborhood, him and Jimbo were our greeting party. You know, they helped us move in, and you know, it's like, and then right away it was the rivalry, and 2 days later, me and him had a fist fight. And we've been friends ever since, you know, and we fought ever since. You know, I got so many stories of us growing up, and I was going through a lot of them last night, and it just, you know, although, you know, we're all at a loss, because he's leaving us, you know, he left us all with a lot of memories, you know, and they were all good, even the ones that we were fighting were good memories. I remember, you know, my mother used to make me wear these certain clothes to school. I used to have to wear these canary yellow bell bottoms. Paul said, listen, just wear the pants to the bus stop, come over my house, and we'll change into some jeans, and then, you know, you can put the canary yellow bell bottoms on and go home. And, you know, it's like he was always helping me out that way. And I remember my mother saying, you know, how come those pants look exactly the same when you get home? You know, I remember another time that, you know, I put all my 45s over his house, and I guess he got mad at me, and I was walking by the house one day, and I saw all these little 45s going out of the second story window. And I was like, what was that? And I was like, you know, and then I see my name on one of them as it lands on the street. And then they're all over the neighborhood. It's like, I guess he was mad at me and he decided to fly them out. There's another time that we're down in Paul Parisi's basement there, and we were playing pool, and we accidentally hit one of the fluorescent lights on the ceiling, and I guess Paul must have watched one of them nature channels or something, and found out that there was gas in the fluorescent light. So he grabs his nose and he goes, get out of the house, yes! And he hightails it out of there, you know? I remember all kinds, I got so many memories of Paul, and you know, I'll be able to keep them forever. Nobody can take them away from me, and he is a character, you know. And we were always going fishing, you know. When are we gonna go fishing? You know, a lot of times, you know, we did make it a few times, but if we fished every time that we were gonna go fishing, I don't think we would have ever done anything else. You know? And you know, he loved his family, he loved his kids, and he stood by him. He was a good friend, you know. Regardless of anything that happened in our lives, he was always there. If you needed him, he would be there, you know. And, you know, I love him and I'll remember him for that. Thanks for listening.
Need a woman up here speaking something. I didn't know Paul as well as I should have, but I hate to date myself. I've known Tina over 25 years, and this man loved his wife, and loved his wife well. And this past weekend gave me an appreciation for my man. All of us women could appreciate our men. And that's all I have to say. Man loved his wife. I'm so happy, Tina, that you did have that man who loved you unconditionally. I love you.
Paul was, he was my best friend, you know, I mean, as growing up as kids, there was 5 boys, you know, growing up, and we all slept in, we had 2 bunk beds, and, it was hard those days, you know, back in the late 60s and the early 70s, like, we met Mike Brew's family, you know, Bill and Dave, but Paul and I, we stuck together through thick and thin, you know, when times came down to it, you know, there was nobody, you know, I mean, it was just me and him there, you know, and nobody came between us at any time. I can remember, one night we were at a bar, and, with a couple other guys, and Paul, decided we were gonna keep everybody there, you know, so he couldn't go out and get the cops. So, he went outside and cut everybody's tires in the parking lot. Except for our vehicle. So, I mean, I have so many memories of Paul. I mean, between me and him, like I said, we fought together, we cried together, you know, it's just so many things that I remembered in the last couple of days that I haven't thought of in so many years, you know, I mean, because there's just so much stuff about him. And you know, when he wanted to say something, he told you the way it was, and he didn't hold it back. Let me tell you, that's just the way he was. So, and I tell you, him marrying Tina was, for him and Tina, was the best thing that could have happened, because they deserved each other. They were against each other. Didn't matter how many fights they had. Didn't matter how many phone calls Joe got at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, Joe, you gotta come over here, Paul's shooting up the van. Things like that. And I'd get in my car, and I'd drive that up to Paul Tina's, and I get there and everything was peaceful. And I was like, well, what's going on? She's crying. I said, where's all the scars? I mean, she was talking to me, telling me she was bleeding and all this other stuff. I get there and everybody's smiling. But I'm gonna miss him deeply. You know, I lost my other brother to the same thing. You know, I went through something similar with my heart, and you know, but he's no longer with us today, but he's with everybody in their minds and have good thoughts about him, and there's gonna be bad thoughts, you know, so, but we have to get over him and just remember Paul the way he was, you know, because that's how I'm gonna remember him. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
I
President.
think we all have a bunch of stories that we're all gonna remember of Paul. I grew up with the family, I know the whole family since I was a kid.
You were a kid?
Paul was a character, and, you know, there's many tales, many tales. I was living with Paul and Tina many years ago, maybe about 25 years ago. His favorite thing, I'm gonna share it anyway. You know, I was the music player in the house. Here comes Paul with his towel wrapped around him with his can of whipped cream heading into bed. Once in a while, I had to go get some strawberries. He likes strawberries. Another tale is, we were all fucked up one night. We were all in hides. We've all been in hides, and everybody knows the story we've been talking about the last couple of days. You know, Paul was out of the ordinary. We all know that. You know, instead of jumping through windows, Paul jumped up and through the window. Like, Paul, why'd you do that? He wanted to get Tina's attention. Other stories, you know, Paul loved to go fishing. He never caught nothing. He always liked to go fishing. Like Bill said, you know, as many times as we wanted to go fishing and things, we just didn't get to go that much. But when we did, one thing with Paul is, he'd fish for a half hour, and then the rest of the day he was scavenge hunting, looking for lures and non-balls and things like that. I haven't been over the house in a while, but we used to hit golf balls out of his front yard and try to hit that house over there. I had the fancy windmill going over there on the property. just had many good times together, and he's going to be well missed. And Paul did love his family dearly. That's one thing I can say, you know. I saw him a couple months ago when he came over with his granddaughter. And, he was very proud to have his family. And he was always a family man, regardless of what was going on. And he was always there for his family. And that's one thing I really respect about Paul. Because if you know Paul, you know about him. That's one thing he did do. And I admire him for that. And one day we're all going to be there with Paul. He's going to be dearly missed. Thanks.
Did you hear? I didn't read this out of the trumpet. That's
Yeah, that's cool.
Clarify, just for Paul, he liked the female Easter bunny. Paul is very close to my son. And we feel good for all of the children around you. And I try to tell all the adults, go on with your kids. He's there for all the kids. He's there for everybody's kids. Always. He's a big supporter. And he goes, look. And the one thing that I miss most is his little dance. He used to shake his ass for me. But I had a laugh on the end.
As you can see, the memories will remain. No matter what life does, it can't take those from you. Paul's legacy can live on as you tell these stories, as you remember. Some will be sweet, and as his brother said, others will be hard. We ask, and the family asks, that you cherish even this tragedy, because eventually it will bring a peace to your life. Don't let those memories make you glum or turn you to bitterness, but out of respect for your husband, your dad, your papa, your friend, your uncle, out of that, learn to love deeper. For that's what I saw in Paul. This tough man that rode a bike, that lived with his family, that told you exactly where you stood at all times. He loved deeply. He loved incredibly deeply. He began to turn that love. He found that love, honestly, through his Maker God. He really honestly did. Focus on the joys of Paul's life, the smiles and the laughter that we need. And let Paul's still body today teach you in this painful moment to listen that life is brief and that life is a gift from God. And life, though it's marked with hardships and sin, is an object of God's redemption in your life. And that life, this life that we enjoy, is only a prelude to eternity. And as we say goodbye to Paul today, remember the words of Jesus. Jesus said, don't let your hearts be troubled. He said, trust in God. He said, trust also in me. He said, in my Father's house there are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. He said, I'm going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go to there to prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you with me, so that you may also be where I am. You will know the way to the place that I'm going. A poet wrote it this way. He said, when Jesus shall come with a shout of acclamation, what joy will fill my heart with humble adoration, and then proclaim, my God, how great thou art. You know, death just stinks. There is no other way to put it. It absolutely is horrible. Bible calls it the final enemy that needed to be defeated. I'll never forget walking away from a gravesite one day, and this little girl skipping and smiling as big from ear to ear. And I thought at a moment someone should stop her. And then I thought, you know what? Not at all. Because that's exactly how we should be. That's how Paul would be, because he knew Jesus. That we can look at death and we can laugh at its face, because Jesus kicked the tunnel from this life to the next. And that's what Paul knew. Those of you knew him as a tough, rough guy that would spit in your face and cut you just for looking at him. He shared that. He really did, honestly, friends. He honestly found his Savior. And it was amazing how he began to love each one of you. How he talked about Joe coming home. How he talked about living with Tina. How he talked about seeing Layla grow up. And he would go to the wall for them. And he would go to the wall for you as friends. And he said, I hope people can find what I found. See, Paul understands what that little girl understood. That Jesus taken away the sting of death. And today, Paul understands what Jesus said when he said, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Tina wrote to me this morning. She said he just did everything for everybody and never complained. He never thought about himself, and he never cared about material things or money. He was a simple man who always said all he had to offer in life was his word, and he lived by that. He grew up rough, but once we met, we teamed each other. He had a bumpy road, and he always said, as long as we stay together and have faith, we would be solid. Paul came to our church, and I'll never forget, he had work boots on every Sunday. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. One Sunday, he came in with these brown shoes on. I said, Paul, where'd you get those shoes? He said, Tina made me buy them. He said, she made me go out and buy church shoes. I said, I like the work boots better. At the hospital, Tina said she was holding Paul after he'd already gone. So she put her foot, her hand on his foot, and said, look at that, Paul. I still got your work boots. I want you to know, Paul looked at each one of you today across the table, eye to eye. He'd say, love you. Love me for finding what I found. He was a great guy, but more importantly, he was God's child. Would you pray with me? Father, we come right now again with heavy hearts. And Lord, even though we've spoken and we've shared, we don't understand. We don't understand how things work in your time. Help us to understand that. God, we lift up this family right now. We lift them up and we ask that you hold them in your arms, that you draw them tighter to you and to each other, and you help them when moments are stressful and they want to fight and argue, to look at each other and to just let it go. God, we ask that we never let go of Paul's memory, that we carry that with us, whether we've known him a day or whether we've known him our entire life. Father, whether we've given birth to him, married, or we're his child or his grandchild. And we hold on to that memory, and that his legacy lives through those around us. And we see something that reminds us of him, that we smile, and we thank you for his memory. And God, we look forward to seeing you and Paul one day in glory. And once again, we commit his soul to you, and his body to this earth. It is in your Son, Jesus, who Paul did. In his name we pray. Amen.
Heard a lot of good stories this morning. One of the things that's certainly going to stick with me is that big guy in the yellow bell-bottom pants. But what also is going to stick with me is all people who got up and said, Paul saved me, or Paul helped me out. So the situation is now is who's going to step up and take Paul's place. So that's the question for both you guys to answer yourselves. Anyway, we don't
leave now for the cemetery. We're gonna go over to Mount Pleasant, it's over in Center Riches. When we get to Route 51, if any of you guys on the bikes want to take the lead, you certainly can. We'll do about 55 miles an hour to Montauk Highway, then we'll take the lead again. And we're gonna go to the cemetery, we're gonna do a little circle around the cemetery, then I'm gonna pull in by the crematory, and then everybody just scoot by and let you guys go by. So we're gonna line up on the corner facing West Main Street, let the family cars get up front, and then we'll take it from there. Now we're leaving, folks in the back, come up, say their last goodbyes, leave the family, we'll be the last ones to go.